All right, everyone. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Of course, we're expecting some more people. And as always, you can still invite your friends. You can still let people know that this is going on. All they have to do is click that registration link and they'll be sent the link to log in and they can join our conversation today. Um, my name is Leah Patterson and I am the coordinator of the Rocket Lab. And this is one of our events that we're so excited and just pleased to be able to put on. Today's event is one of the first in a series called Beyond the Ideas or Beyond the Idea. And this actually has been happening before, but we kind of put it on pause and now we're bringing it back. And we're really excited to bring it back with Garbo Hearne being our first guest for the event. Now, before I talk about a little bit more about that, I want to just tell you a little bit more about what Rocket Lab is in case this is your first time encountering Rocket Lab or any of our events or knowing anything about us. So we are a resource center, an entrepreneurial hub for startup and aspiring business owners and under-resourced communities. And so we really endeavor in our space here at the historic Cox building, so very soon that'll be open to the public, we endeavor to provide access to resources, to tools, to training, to capital, to mentorship for business owners that don't typically have this access in their communities. And so we're really excited to start this mission. We've been doing this for some time now, and I'm really happy to be a part of the family now and doing that work. And it's an initiative between Advancing Black Entrepreneurship and the Central Arkansas Library System. So it's very innovative, very exciting, and very soon you'll be hearing more about the things that we're doing, inviting people into the space. You can always go to our website, which is cals.org/rock-it-lab to find more information about what we're doing. We do have another event for April that's coming up on April 15th, which is about operating agreements. So it's a workshop that's going to teach you why an operating agreement is really important and how to put one together, being put on by the Bowen Law School. So definitely register for that if you're interested in that type of information. And so now let us kind of move into why we're here today. So again, today the event is Beyond the Idea. And so it's an event that gives us the opportunity to learn from entrepreneurs that have been in business for some time, that have learned things along their journey. And it gives us the opportunity to ask questions of people who've already been there, who are already doing it. A lot of times we don't give, especially if we have businesses, we're so busy in the running of our business, we don't actually have the opportunity to look to our peers or look to our mentors that are already further along than we are and ask those vital questions of how did you do it? What was it like when, you hit a roadblock? How did you move past that? How did you make the decision to do this or do that? What were the variables? What were the parameters? And so that's what this event provides us all the opportunity to do. And so today we have the great pleasure and great honor to actually talk to Mrs. Garbo Hearne of Pyramid Fine Arts, Pyramid Bookstore and Hearne Fine Arts Gallery and Custom Framing. I know she's going to correct me because I'm sure I fumbled the name, which I always do. Okay. But, many of you know her in the community. She's a pillar in the community, her and her family. And their businesses are pillars in the community. And although, you feel like you have the opportunity to talk to her at any point, you can go to her space and speak with her. It's difficult, it's difficult to go and say, hey, what was it like starting your business? How what advice can you give me? And so this is our opportunity to actually ask those questions. And we're just really, really, again, honored and so thankful, Garbo, that you agreed to be here with us today. So thank you. And let's get started.
Well, thank you, Leah, and the Rocket Lab and the Central Arkansas Library System for putting this program together. Congratulations to you and Benito for everything that's about to come forward from the Rocket Lab. So I am very proud of both of you. So thanks for allowing me to be here today. And just let's get started.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those sweet words, for those kind words. So I know, like I said, I've got questions, and again, I know that I think I saw a question in the chat. Please go ahead and ask your questions as well, because this is not just for me to ask questions; it's for us to ask questions of Garbo. But I know I had a question I wanted to ask. So you have the bookstore and the art gallery. So which of those? And I actually think that you that's probably not even all of what your business is now today. But I wanted to ask which started first.
Okay, so the name of my business is Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing and Hearne Fine Art. And I also have Hearne Fine Art Consulting and Appraisal Services, and we also have Hearne Southern Auction House. But actually, all of this started just as Pyramid Gallery. We were a
Oh,
print gallery and we focused on local artists such as A.J. Smith. Initially, when we opened in June of 1988, we were on the corner of 12th and Fair Park, and we partnered with a bookstore, Genesis Bookstore, that was a Christian bookstore when we first opened, because always books are so important in our lives. So we wanted to make sure that we had something known that would be a draw in Genesis Bookstore. Uh, they were known in the community, so they had, of course, traffic is what you needed.
yeah.
African American art, um, a cultured gallery was something unknown. It was something that wasn't in existence when we opened. So it was kind of the bookstore helped draw traffic. So that's why, we partnered with them because we helped each other.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. And just so everyone knows, I have an allergy cough, so every now and then I'm going to mute my mic because I might have that cough. But so, okay, so you started as a collaboration,
Mhm.
um, but art was really important to you. Can you talk a bit about that? Like, why was it important to start an art gallery?
Well, initially, my
Or,
husband, Archie Hearn, definitely was the impetus behind the idea of doing it because he began collecting artwork in college. He lived with an art professor, Marion Epting, who is a known printmaker in California. And just the atmosphere and the people surrounding, a chair of an art department, you're just infused. And I guess he caught the art book early, understanding the value of art and also reading. My husband is pretty well read, and he was very aware of our culture and the greatness that we come from. Moving to Arkansas, that culture not really being on display anywhere, it was kind of like a challenge that if we were going to stay in Arkansas, then this is something that had to be here because this is very personal because we have children. We have children and we wanted them to grow up knowing who they were. And art and literature are two things that, art tells a story and reading is fundamental and something that's definitely, you got to have it as part of your life. So, opening the bookstore and the gallery, it just kind of fell hand in hand. As I said, we moved in 89, in January of 89, because the property that we were at on 12th and Fair Park sold. And they actually paid us to leave. Can you imagine that? They gave us the rent to
oh,
leave. So that was kind of
that's-
exciting and interesting. And so we ended up at 1308 Main Street, and Genesis Bookstore moved to 12th Street. And so we were in that building on at 1308 Main, and then beside us there was an empty building. So we started Main Street Bookstore, and
oh,
Main Street Bookstore didn't last very long because we realized, we couldn't be all things to all people. And we looked at what was actually selling was works by Black authors. And we also realized that there wasn't a platform for self-published authors. So we began, hosting book signings. One of the very first book signings we hosted was for Elin Harris, who ended up,
wow.
he was selling books, at beauty shops out the back of his car. and we did one of the first book signings for him, and he ended up being a New York Times bestselling author. So that's always my success story. Anybody that walks in can be that next author. But at any
Yeah.
rate, the bookstore we moved the bookstore into the gallery eventually, and we became Pyramid Gallery and Books. We added the service of custom picture framing because initially, um, obviously, when you buy a print, you make it your own. So it would always happen that I would like that print, but I need to change that matte color to green. Can you do that? Well, of course. Sure, I can. So
Hmm.
initially, I spent a lot of time away from my business at a U Frame It because I taught myself how to frame. And so I would go to
Wow.
a U frame it, and we framed everything for the business, and then eventually realizing that this was a service that needed to happen for the business to survive, we added that as a service, and we found a young man that was in school at Philander Smith College, and we taught him how to frame. And it's just I mean, in terms to be a custom picture framer, you have to have be very good at math, and you have to
Hmm.
pay attention to detail. And so as we grew, he grew, and it got to be very exciting. And eventually graduated from Philander, and he introduced his brother, who is currently our picture framer. So it's kind of been a
Okay.
family affair. So we stayed on Main Street for about 10 years, and we wanted to build our own building on the corner of 14th and Broadway, which is Daisy Bates and Broadway. But we didn't get the loan, but we forgot to take the sign off the building because our building was for sale. So we
Hmm.
forgot to take the sign off the building, and our building sold. So we were like, oh my God. And I was so disappointed. I was like, where am I going to go? I want to go to a new space. I don't want to go into a space that I have to build into. So uh, Charles Murat was our realtor, and he
Hmm.
found the River Market.
Okay.
Well, the River Market was empty. Nobody was really in that building, the museum center.
Uh-huh.
The Museum of Discovery hadn't moved in, and we were able to build out exactly what we wanted. And so that was kind of fun because we were able to create the space that we wanted, a frame shop, a bookstore, and a gallery. And from there, we changed our name from Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing and Hearne Fine Art. So we separated the two because generally fine artists don't necessarily want to be showing in a frame shop. So, we had to
Okay.
separate that whole piece, and we had grown from just being a print gallery and local artists. In those 10 years, we met national artists, and we were bringing them in to do exhibits and selling more original art. And it really became important to focus on original art, understanding the generational wealth and the value that
Hmm.
you put in buying original art once you make that decision to make that part of your existence. So we evolved, if you will.
Yeah.
I know we have such a long name, and as you say, getting it confused. But I read in an article in American Express's magazine. It said, if you um, whatever you do, put it in your name. So
Yeah.
henceforth, Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing. And another thing they said, if you believe in something, put your name on it.
I love
Hence
it.
comes Hearne Fine Arts. So, it's separate, but it's together. But everything that I do complements
Compliments
each.
the other.
The businesses complement each other.
Mhm. Yeah. So you just covered a ton, a ton of people's history. So thank you. Yeah. So I want to kind of go back and talk about each of those things you've covered, kind of in segments, because there was a lot in each of those pieces of your story. You already talked about kind of a little bit about why you all initially decided to bring art into the bookstore when you made that when you had that partnership.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit more about how that was a new idea to introduce? Because I think a lot of times there are some business owners who perhaps their idea is a new idea, combining two
Mhm.
things that aren't typically seen together. Like, how did you all how did you all say, okay, this is what we're going to do because we believe in it? And then what advice do you have for business owners in doing something similar?
Well, I think any business idea starts with an idea, and it
Hmm.
starts, with a challenge of can I do this? Does it make sense? And I don't think you start a business unless you yourself would support it.
Hmm.
And understanding that books and art went together, and the focus of having Black art in your home. I mean, this was the time of the Cosbys, and the Cosby
Ah,
Show was really popular. And, many of the focus uh, would showcase artwork in their home, and they were the power couple. And everybody wanted to be like the Cosbys, so definitely the artwork that they had in their home was also available in print, so that really helped a lot
that makes
in
sense.
moving our focus, letting people realize it's okay to put Black art in your home.
Yeah,
And in a business focus, most physicians, when you went in their offices, the artwork is very non-specific. But in my husband's office, he had beautiful images of Black people sitting around the table, praying, just, being in it's a positive force. And I noticed how his patients were, it made them feel more comfortable being in that environment. So understanding how art, soothes the soul, and it's just a really part of, a great part of your existence, was really a belief and a passion. So I think you have to have a passion for whatever it is that you do, and initially realize that you may not always make a lot of money initially, and you may never make a lot of money, but understanding what is enough for you and to do a job that you would actually do for free is the goal in life. For me, I
yeah.
think it would be, it's something that you enjoy doing, and you don't mind waiting and sacrificing, because it is a sacrifice to be in business. And it's very important that you have a support system. Your family must support you, the community must support you. So you have to get out and be a part of the community that you serve. So that was, the next move from our business was the river market, because again, we were able to build that space out, but we did not own the space. And after being in business 20 years, it didn't make sense to continue paying rent. And my husband, being a physician who um, remained in private practice, he was also in a rental situation. So if you combine the rent we were paying, it just didn't make business sense not to build a space. And then realizing the community that we serve is multicultural, primarily the Black community. So we are in the heart of the Dunbar historic community, right across from Dunbar Middle School, Sue Howland Williams Library, Allison. So it's a great place to be, because I feel like we're in the right place. And building here was a really good idea.
And I think that's really a great point that you made, that I kind of want to ask a question about. I feel like a lot of business owners, especially when they're starting out, feel like they have to have an idea that is $1 million idea that is going to become the next big box business, and that if not at the that's not the level that their idea is, or they don't get to that level in a certain amount of time, then
Hmm.
on some level they've failed. And
Hmm.
yet you've just said that what's most important is that it's something that you would do for free,
Hmm.
and it's just the joy and the fact that actually it sustains your living also.
Hmm.
So kind of, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, again, it's important that you again do something that you really enjoy, and understand that you don't know what you don't know, and make sure that you continue to educate yourself. Continuing education in any business is so very important, and realizing that you've got to be ahead of the curve. You've got to think, what's coming up next? How can I evolve? Another reason why I moved from just a print gallery to original art was uh, J.C. Penney, Target, Walmart. They started carrying Black prints. They were not carrying Black prints when I first opened. So I had to realize that I could not compete with that market. So I had to find something that was a niche market, because art and books have been around and will be around for ages, but you've got to find that community that you serve. So that was helpful, realizing that, you want to cover a certain area and be the expert in that area. And then adding other services like appraisal services. I had, everybody would come to me, well, what is this worth? What is this worth?
Mm,
And again, I said, well, I have a good idea, but I knew that becoming a certified appraiser would help me understand the art business better. So I took the time and spent a summer at NYU to get that certification. And it was one of the best decisions I made, because realizing the importance of continuing education and making sure that you are aware of what's going on in your industry. So it's a combination of realizing that change is inevitable, that if you stay the same, you're going to get the same results. So you always have to know that change is coming. And um, realizing also that you must surround yourself with people who care about your mission, and the people that work with you must be, it's part of a team. People don't work for me, they work with me. My
mhm.
general manager has been with me for 31 years. She knows my business, and she knows, I listen to their opinion, the people that work with me, their opinions. My custom picture framer, he's an expert at what he does, and I let them do what they do. And it's a team effort. It's always a team effort, and I enjoy working with interns. I know that over the last 33 years, we've probably had at least 15 to 20 young people that started with us in when they were freshmen, and they graduated, and they've gone on to do
Wow.
what they do, but they were part of my business growth, because young people are very smart.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that, surround yourself with someone who's smarter than you.
Mhm.
It's true, especially nowadays with social media and technology. Definitely I'm way behind, because my children grew up understanding everything. My daughter actually, uh, I was so upset when she moved away and went to college. I was like, how could you leave me?
Like
And
what?
so it's
Yeah.
one of those things that, it's a family business, but understanding it's a team effort, and, bringing young people around you, and, being able to listen is very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, gosh, so many gems that you hit upon. We have a question from the audience that I want to make sure that we ask.
Okay.
So I am probably gonna mess up her name, so I apologize in advance. But Jay Chantel, she
That's
said,
exactly right. Yes, Chantel.
good, I did pretty good. So she asked, how did you build a following? How did you market yourself? And she said it's something that she finds hard to do. And it's about like, how do you find one, stick with it, no matter what? And I was going to ask you that question also about how has
Well,
your marketing evolved over the years?
Well, because I'm in a business that continuously changes, there's always the next book, there's always new artwork coming out. So basically, I am a platform for so many people, artists and authors. They seek out our business to assist them with getting their work out to the general public. So it's actually been, able to sit and respond and follow up
Mm.
with the people in the industry, because I'm actually, like say, in the book industry, in the art industry, in custom picture framing. All of these different industries are separate. They complement each other, but they have their separate set of paperwork, their separate set of people that we connect with. So um, I think that it's been, uh, especially in the art world, when we started showing work from regional artists in Texas, then it moved into um, the East Coast, and then we started doing art fairs and that kind of thing. So it's about, making those connections and keeping those personal connections with people, and, making sure that everybody is, their value is felt. And, we're excited to be a platform for artists and authors in this community from a local, regional, and national perspective. So I think that's been one of those evolving situations in terms of marketing, that, when people write about you instead of you writing about yourself, that's always helpful. I think that making sure you know what's coming up, what's coming out, what's the next, the greatest. Like Sister Soldier's book just came out, Life After Death, the sequel to The Coldest Winter Ever. So those kind of things will always help you in terms of jumps in the market. And then fortunately, because we are known for promoting Black culture, um, automatically some people and things will come our way because of the niche that we have filled and we continue to fill. So I think it's a matter of being preparation, and continued success is continuing to be there, and open on time, answer the phone, respond to your emails. It's just one of those things of keeping a connection with people.
Okay, yeah, some of the simple things really matter too. Yeah.
Very
Um,
much.
and I want to remind everyone, please do ask questions because again, remember, we have this wonderful opportunity to ask our questions of Ms. Hearne. So please do. So Nancy Lott, she asked, what about marketing to art clients and book lovers?
Well, the best way to market to art clients and book lovers is to, again, we use a platform called Constant Contact. And so we have a database of people. When you walk in, you know, we ask, would you like to be informed about our programming? And so what we do is um, for the last year, we've been doing virtual programming, using Zoom to do art talks and book talks. So keeping our authors and artists out there in front, and for people to realize, I mean we probably do 3 to 4 Zoom events um, a week maybe, and sometimes 10 to 12 a month. We don't expect you to come to all of them. We would love for you to, but we try to make sure that we have a versatile programming that we are hopeful that people will want to participate in. We do have a specific Baobab story time for children. And so that's very important that we introduce children's authors and that we keep that in the forefront. And we want our children to want to have books. We want them to have books in their life. And I understand Kindles and all that good stuff, but to hold that book in your
Yeah, that
hand, to have your own
tangible.
personal library is so important. So
Yeah.
I think that keeps us moving in marketing what's in front of us and what's out there that we have to go and seek out.
I love it. I love that. Someone else asked, Marcus Crutchfield asked, he said, I have a difficult time finding inspiration in my art path. Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Well, I think that the beauty of the path of art that I'm a part of is that I have the option to change it. Every 2 to 3 months, I change out the gallery. I'm always reaching back. I work with probably 50 to 60 artists in the space of the lifetime of my business. So I'm always reaching back to them to see how they're growing. And I bring them back every 2 to 3 years so that clients can see, how their workmanship, how they've grown as people. Because, creativity is one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it. So
Mhm.
the artists that I work with are professional artists. This is how they make a living. So they do need a path by which that they have a platform to show. So I think the biggest inspiration is to realize, um, find a mentor, find someone that you like their work, and reach out to them and ask them, for some advice on what you do. Because when you find an artist that you like, you tend to imitate them. Well, that's nothing wrong with that. Flattery, I mean, that's the biggest um, flattering is if you imitate someone and you tell them, but you also give them credit that they were your influence. So it's nothing wrong with imitating another artist and finding a mentor. So I would say that's the best way is, find someone that you're influenced by and reach out to them.
Awesome answer, of course. So I had a question I wanted to ask a little bit uh, back in our conversation. You talked about it seemed like there were business decisions that you made that, your audience kind of directed, like, okay, people are asking me about this. It makes sense for me to go ahead and learn this. But then there were probably some that were kind of a risk where, it was like, well, kind of like you said, well, JCPenney's is everybody's starting to sell prints. We need to find another way to stand out. So as a business, how do you make those kind of decisions about how to grow and in what direction to grow? What advice would you have about that?
Well, I think that you have to sit down and write down what's your end game. How do I want to, what do I actually want to see myself doing in 5 years? How am I going to get there? And who am I going to have to connect with to make that happen? How am I going to have to educate myself so I can be ready when it does happen? And so that's the way I think that the biggest path to figure out what your future looks like and how to increase it. And then you realize if something's not working, it doesn't work. I went to uh, another one of our ventures. We decided to open a frame shop in Maumelle because we were,
Mm,
as a big community, there's so many people living out there. Everybody needs a framer. Well, we did that for a year. It didn't work. It was really more. I mean, we did do some framing, but it really the money didn't make sense. It didn't add up. So we got out of the lease and we continued to stay where we were and keep that market. So those are one of the things when you realize something doesn't work, be okay with you know saying this didn't work.
yeah, I think that's so valuable because I feel like a lot of times, I mean, even myself as a business owner, it can be a blow to the ego, to the esteem when something doesn't work. And it's I think it is a value, a learned value to be able to say, oh well, it didn't work. Let me move on instead of spending more time drowning in something that just isn't working. It's okay to pivot. So
Mhm.
yeah, thank you. It's so great to hear people that we admire sharing that part of their story as well. so uh, so um Jay Chantel, she asked another question. Well, see, first she had a comment. I've been to a few book signings. Those ones I attended were fabulous. I'm a fan of the McAdoos and the Righteous Poets. And so her question is, do you host how-tos, for instance, how to publish your book, writing techniques for aspiring writers, etc.?
Well, we used to, when before the pandemic, we would have on Saturdays uh, a community event in the gallery where you could come in and share your expertise. And we were the venue for that. So we have had writing seminars. We've had people come talk about insurance. We've had people come and talk about how to grow your hair. I mean, we've used our space as a community. We're not an event space. Be clear on that. We are here to serve the community and help people, be a platform to share their expertise. So we were very excited about that. I saw a question about how have we survived during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, we determined that we were essential. Bookstores are essential.
I love it.
Art
I
is
love it.
essential, but we had to be thoughtful about about ourselves and keeping ourselves safe. So we require everyone to walk that comes in, they must wear a mask. We have a sanitizing station at the door. Um, Fortunately or unfortunately, we really never have a lot of people in the bookstore at one time. So it wasn't like we had to monitor how many people came in, but we did limit that in case that did happen to 10 people at a time. And we, off groups of people, they're smart, they're social distancing, so we don't have to get into that. But we had to make sure, and when we changed our hours. We used to be open from 9 to 6, so now we're open from 10 to 4. So there's less of an engagement opportunity in a period, and people are very intentional when they come. We offer curb service, our own increase because we do ship work. We ship books and we do deliver as well. So I think that just changing your business model and realizing uh, you can survive if you figure out how to make it happen and make people that work with you comfortable enough to do it. And the people that come to do business with you are comfortable that you are trying, making sure that they're safe. I mean, we've got the Lysol on everything. You walk out, we're spraying. When you come to the desk,
Yeah.
we're sanitizing. But I think that we're not having any in-person events. Everything we're doing is virtual, and I think that that's going to continue until next spring, just to be on the safe side. I have learned that Zoom can work, and we're often able to even have more intense programming because we're not flying you in. You could
Hmm.
get in front of your computer and just talk to us. So that's worked well, and I think that model will continue. But I'm just going to stay on the safe side with the
Yeah.
programming and things of that uh, until next spring, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Stevie Smith asked, how are you able to finance the start of your business and continue to finance it?
Okay, so the beginning, when we started our business, we were renting a space, and we do a lot of the work ourselves. We painted, we, put in, my husband is very resourceful. He's not afraid of hard work. So definitely when we were a young couple, uh, we used our own money. We established ourselves as a business, and we established a relationship with a bank. uh, my best friend and roommate happened to be a banker. So again, she said, you got to start an account, you got to start a savings account. She helped us get, our credit card information and all that stuff going so that we had all of the materials and everything a business needed to be successful. So it's very important to establish a relationship with a banking institution so they know you, they know your work. Then you can ask for a loan. I mean, of course, you have to have your business in order, and budget, pay your bills on time. I mean, be very thoughtful about the money you take in and the money you spend out. Don't spend money unnecessarily. So you have to live by a budget. Don't take your business money and spend it personally.
Hmm. Yeah,
You got to
that's
be very
that
disciplined.
separation.
You
Yeah.
just got to keep it separate, and you got to pay your taxes on time, pay your sales tax, all of those things that are very important to staying in business is doing things in a timely manner. And, the Small Business Administration gives great classes. There are a lot of resources for small businesses. Take advantage of them.
Rocket Lab.
I still take advantage of them. And so like I said, I'm continuously learning. I'm evolving. So I'm never sit and say, okay, I've made it. I haven't. Next month, every month is like, ooh, we made it through March. It's April. What are we gonna do? And then always thinking about what am I going to be doing in terms of the art business? What am I going to be showing 5 years from now? This is now I have to start strategizing for artists to create work specifically for this space. What am I doing 9 months from now? And keeping that, so what am I doing next week? So always thinking forward for everything that you do, and making sure that you keep your personal relationships in order with people. So when they say, oh, will Garbo call me back? Are we gonna have an event? Is it gonna start on time? Are they gonna market it appropriately? So it's so many things that you have to keep up with that you can't let fall through the cracks. But financially, it's about being disciplined and building relationships and realizing that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get a loan, but you got to pay it back. You got to pay it back on time, and if you pay it back on time, you can get another loan. And so those are the kind of things is building small blocks. So
Gotcha. That's so good. And I think it's I love that you keep reiterating that a lot of times it's the small stuff too.
mhm.
It's the showing, opening on time, doing what you say you're gonna do, making, just that reliability. Did I make up a word? But
No, that's
yeah.
right. That's right. And and also meeting your clients where they are. I mean, uh, we have a great payment option system for our art. You know, when you walk in the door, there may be a piece of art that may be more than you want to pay at one time, so you can pay a deposit and you can pay over time. We do the same with books. We do the same with custom picture framing. We want your experience to be with us. We don't want it to be stressful, but when you get what you actually want, if you say, okay, well, I only have $50 to frame this piece, but if it takes $90 to make this look good, I'm willing to wait 60 days and pay it over time. And when they get it home, they may have waited longer, but they are very, very happy with what they have. So it's about when you make an intentional decision that you want something, then we are going to work with you. So
Um,
understanding cash flow is not that you got to get all your money at one time. You can get it over a period of time, and it's not going to hurt your business.
Oh, I think that's really valuable. And like you said, being there for your customers and realizing that there's innovative ways that you can still serve your customers and still serve your own bottom line as well. So really great. I had a question. I wanted to ask, what have been some of your biggest challenges in growing your business and how have you overcome them?
Marketing has always been a challenge for me. I think that I spend most of my time programming and figuring out the best way to produce and put something out there. Then I forget that nobody knows about this but me, you know? So,
Yeah.
and I end up calling people, I mean, relationships, but I think marketing is always the biggest challenge because, do you spend money on TV? Do you do radio? Do you a print ad, all of that stuff is so important to be out there, but can you afford it? If
Hmm.
it's part of the budget, marketing is probably not in my budget the way it should be. I think the next challenge is always technology. I mean, I have never been good with computers. Social media is so far beyond me. Um, I don't really uh, understand Facebook, Instagram, all that, but the people around me do, and they have been, allowing people to help you do stuff is always good, but understanding it too. So I think that's been one of my biggest challenges is keeping up with technology. Because by the time I learned something that's old, and now it's time to learn something else. It's like okay. So I think that just trying to keep up with everything, and marketing and technology has been my biggest challenge.
I get it. I definitely understand. I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy, but things change so quickly that, yeah. And marketing, social media, I think that's a constant.
Hmm.
You got to stay fresh with it. But
Definitely.
like you said, I mean, if you have people around you, though, then that really helps,
Hmm.
and you mentioned that earlier also, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that is about developing a team because
Hmm.
oftentimes business owners, especially starting out, feel like they have to do everything, and there's that point where they have to learn to delegate. Like,
Hmm.
what was that point for you all? Did that point happen where you realized, oh, I can't do everything, or were you all always aware that we're going to need a team to help us?
I think we always knew we needed a team. I think
Hmm.
it's definite that you need to know what's going on and you need to understand what the end game, what is the outcome, but you have to realize that you can't do it all, and you have
Hmm.
to give people that that you trust to do the work. You have to be able to let them do the work. I probably another, um, I guess, tactic that I have. I'm probably a micromanager, you know, and so you got to learn to let people do what they do. And if you don't see the outcome coming as you like, is learn how to ask questions, learn how to communicate. So I think team effort is the best way. Anything that you want to get done is,
Hmm.
develop that team, develop a trustworthy group of people who will be honest with you, and if something doesn't sound right or look right, don't just question it. But it's the way you do it, and getting everybody's opinion of what's the best way to make this happen. And you don't have to agree with everything that anybody says, but there's a way to agree to disagree to get to the end game.
Hmm. Makes a lot of sense. And everyone, I know we're getting to the end of our hour, but if you have any questions, again, please get them in the chat and I'll make sure that we ask them. I had one more question. How important do you think a vision statement or a mission statement or both is to a business, especially if they're just starting out?
I think it's clear that you need to know what are you providing, what service are you providing, so everybody is clear about what it is you do. I mean, like I said, a lot of people, we're all over the place with what we do, but when you walk in, you can see what we do. So I think a mission statement is good for within the team because everybody on the team needs to know what is the mission for this organization. And the vision statement is, more so for the community so they can understand what your goals are.
Okay. Yeah. So you think even starting out,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's it's
From the
important to.
beginning. From the
Mhm.
beginning, what's your end game? What do you want to accomplish? And how are you going to accomplish and how are you going to accomplish it and how are you going to um, continue to make it happen?
Mhm.
That's so important to understand, the vision for the future. Where do I see myself 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now? Those kind of things. Just kind of keep a vision board or, in your computer, on your phone, and check it from time to time. Am I doing what I said I was going to do? And if I'm not, why am I not doing it? Always question yourself and then don't be afraid to question people that you respect and ask them, what do they, what am I doing wrong? How could I improve on what I'm doing? So always ask for critiques and don't be afraid when people are critical, listen to what they say. Don't take it personally.
Mhm. I think that's so
Don't get
valuable.
don't get beat up, don't get bent out of shape on compliments.
Yeah, that too. And my last question for today is just about your particular goals, your future goals for your businesses.
Well, my goals are to stay around, to stay in business. I would love to have my children take over my business. That would be so exciting if they were to, I want them to grow and become what they want to be, but I would like to see a legacy started with my children taking over what I do. Or when I have had interns, and if someone were to come back, these are like my children as well, so not just basically my biological children, but if someone that I've influenced would come back and be interested in being a part of this business, that would be exciting to me. So just continue to stay here, and I don't ever see myself retiring. My friends are retiring now. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be working until so I don't know. I'm still excited about what I do every day and continuing to grow. There's so many artists that I would love to show. There's so many books that I want to read, and so I don't see an end point, but I do see myself being more organized, and bringing more people onto my team so that I don't have as much responsibility. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think it just shines that light back on what you said earlier about this is work you love to do.
Mhm.
So, you see yourself continuing to do it. And I think if we could all find that, that'd be beautiful. Um, as Jay Chantel says, you have been such a staple in the community and a positive contributor and support as well.
Well,
So,
thank you, thank you, thank you.
so any last words of advice for our business owners, our aspiring and startup and people that are maybe a couple years into business?
Well, I think is the biggest thing is to stay focused. You know, take care of yourself. Your health is so very much so important. Eat right, exercise. Take some time off. You know, there's if you don't take care of you,
Yeah.
nobody else will. Be an example. So that's why I say it's so important that you realize what your you know, when you get tired, it's okay to stop, because, so that kind of thing. And, keep your family close, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So the key is just be be a well-rounded person. Don't make yourself a workaholic, because that would make you unhappy.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable because as business owners, we can think that, our value is only in the work that we're doing, so thank you for pointing that out, that we have to have a holistic, healthy, full life and take care of all aspects of our life as well. So,
You
and
are
the
what you eat.
focus.
You are what you
Yes.
eat. Remember
This
that.
is this is so true. Well, I don't want us to run out of time, and these Zoom meetings will end. So I just want to say thank you again, Ms. Garbo, Mrs. Garbo, for being here with us and sharing all of these gems. It looks like people have really been enjoying it as well. The comments, I'm not sure if you can see them, but they say thank you very much, Garbo. Thank you for the values you bring to the community. Thank you for continuing to serve our community. I got a little thank you in there. Thanks to both of you for this presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, this has been really great for me personally, because like I said earlier, I mean, I just, don't get the opportunity to sit down and just ask you questions like this. So this has been really, really nice.
Well, I am well aware that I work very hard, but this business is not about me. I'm just a vessel for the community, for artists and authors, but I wouldn't be here if the community didn't support me. I mean, everybody on this call, you know, there are people that come in and, you know, just a light for them to come in and look at what I do. So, I mean, I want you to buy something, but if you just show up and look at what I do and appreciate the artists and the authors, that means so much, to see that we've shown you something that you might not have thought about before. So this is a community-based business, and the community is the reason why we are here. So thank
Thank you.
you. I should be thanking you because, Benito, as he says, it takes a village. That is definitely the truth. And, that's my mission and my vision is to continue that effort and to be thought of that way in the community.
Yes, well, I mean, I can say first, thank you. And I know from me first coming here, your organization has upheld that. Because when I first got here, that's what I saw about Pyramid Bookstore and Hearne Fine Arts. Like, wow, this is a community pillar, and they're so connected with the community. And it always felt like a safe place to come. So
You
thank
remember when
you.
we did that event in the parking lot?
The dance-a-thon,
Or
I
the
do.
dance-a-thon? I was like, yeah.
Yes. We need to
Yeah.
do that again. Once we're past this pandemic, that would be fun to do again.
I can see the Rocket Lab clearing out that parking lot and doing a dance-a-thon, get people moving. Come on,
That is a fabulous idea.
I
Oh,
challenge
yes.
you.
I take the challenge. Benito, you heard that. Well, everyone, thank you all so much again for being here. As Mrs. Garbo said, this is a community endeavor. And if you all were not here to support us, we wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we're doing, even with the Rocket Lab. And so we really thank you from the bottom of our hearts for supporting the work that we're all doing. Just really quickly before we end, I want to remind you that we do have another event coming up April 15th. It's going to be about operating agreements. And so if you are needing to work on your operating agreements, if you're not sure why you need an operating agreement as a business, this is a workshop that you want to come to. So if you go to our website, our webpage, it's cals.org/rock-it-lab. You can go and sign up for that. It's also on Facebook. If you just go to CALS in their event page on Facebook, you can find it there. We also have another Beyond the Idea coming up with Keith Tucker of Truth Sauce. That's going to be on May 4th. So there'll be more information out about that. And you want to just stay abreast of what we're doing. We have some cool things coming up. So make sure that you get on our email list, go to our webpage. You can sign up for all of our programs and just, keep informed about what we're doing, because we've got some really interesting and cool things coming up to support the community and to support our aspiring and startup entrepreneurs. So thank you so much. I think we're done for today. We'll see you all in the next one. Thank you so much, Garbo.
All right, take good care.
Bye, everyone.